everyone. Thinking about moving to Grayslake, Illinois? Great choice. Whether you're relocating for work, family, or just a change of pace, the village of Grayslake has a lot going for it. But like any place, there are things you're going to want to know before you move. Today, I'll walk you through the top 5 things you should absolutely know before calling Grayslake home. Let's dive in. Welcome to Grayslake. Located in the far north suburbs of Chicago, a community of 21,000 people. So Grayslake has that medium-sized feel, big enough to have amenities and small enough to feel like a tight-knit community. Weather-wise, we have all 4 seasons, and sometimes in the same week. Summers can get hot and humid, winters are cold and snowy. If you like having all 4 seasons and a change of leaves, you'll get them here. Grayslake is well situated between Chicago and Milwaukee. So if you like to be able to head to the city or day trips to the Wisconsin like Lake Geneva, you're in a good spot. We're about 15 minutes from the nearest interstate, which makes trips to Milwaukee or Chicago pretty easy. Although Grayslake doesn't have a ton of big box stores inside its borders, many of those retailers, Target, Home Depot, Walmart, Home Goods, Ulta, are just 15 minutes away. So for errands and home improvement, you're not completely isolated. Some of the biggest employers in Grayslake are College of Lake County, CDW, Baxter, Discover, Granger, Abbott, Medline, Walgreens, and the Great Lakes Naval Base. And Grayslake is reasonably close to the chain of lakes, which is great for boating, fishing, and water recreation. The second thing you should know about Grayslake is that it has a charming downtown area, and we have lots of community events. One of my favorite things about Grayslake is that the downtown area, literally on Center Street, is like Mayberry. We've got Christmas lights in the winter. It has a small town friendliness with lots of local gems. You're going to find lots of businesses, hair salons, nail salons, spas, coffee shops, restaurants, and lots of small businesses. And yes, my Coldwell Banker office is right there on Center Street. There's also the Grayslake Feed Store, one of my favorite places to pick up cat and dog food. Grayslake is a place where people know your name. If you like walking around and popping into shops, meeting neighbors, it delivers. In terms of community events, Grayslake really comes alive. The village, along with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce, works together to put on a number of community events. Here are some of my favorite highlights. There's a farmer's market that runs April through December. We have seasonal events like ice skating, a St. Patrick's Day parade, a spring carnival, a craft beer fest, which is usually held in June, Grayslake Summer Nights, which is a battle of the bands, Grayslake Days, think parade and lots of amazing bands, plus bingo and a dunk tank. Nothing says small town USA more than that. Downtown trick-or-treating is a huge event where all the kids can shop the businesses. Plus we have the annual tree lighting and a visit from Santa in winter. So if you're feeling like you want part of a community with a chance to see people that you actually will see again, Grayslake gives you that. But be ready, sometimes parking downtown during big events can be trickier, and traffic around event times can slow down, so definitely arrive early to find a parking spot. The third thing you should know about living in Grayslake is how the schools and educational system works. Grayslake public schools are organized by neighborhoods. For example, you'll have neighborhood elementary schools, Meadowview, Woodview, Prairie View, and Avon, feeding into a combined 5th and 6th grade school that's called Frederick, and then Grayslake Middle School for 7th and 8th, and then high school. There are 2 high schools in Grayslake, Grayslake Central, go Rams, and Grayslake North, go Knights. Some areas in East Grayslake, Wildwood, Gages Lake, Prairie Crossing, Hunter's Ridge, and College Trail are actually zoned for Woodland K-8, which is the Gurnee School District. A small portion of Prairie Crossing is zoned for Fremont K-8, which is out of Mundelein. Then there's also Prairie Crossing Charter School, which is based on a lottery system, and it's a K-8 building. Those students would then attend Grayslake Central High School. Private school options include Nature's Walk Montessori, Westlake Christian, St. Gilbert's Catholic, and Carmel Catholic High School. So if private or alternative education is important, we have lots of options nearby. And there's also a number of preschools available. If you move, you should check out which school district your house is in, because that determines which schools your kids will go to, and that impacts their commute and extracurricular activities. Also check school ratings, especially for the middle and high school options, if that matters to you. The fourth thing about living in Grayslake is that you should know there's lots of parks and recreational activities. We have a great park district called the Grayslake Park District, and we have a great public library which puts on events and classes for all ages. There's summer camps, active adult programs, lots of sports for kids. Our outdoor recreation is strong. There's over 400 acres of parks in Grayslake, plus including Jones Island, which is a public beach on the shores of the actual lake, which is called Grayslake. It also has a beautiful accessible park for children, fishing and sand volleyball courts, and ice skating in the winter. There are paved bike paths, especially part of the Millennium Trail. That's a 41-mile planned trail corridor in Lake County. Other recreational features include tennis courts, pickleball courts, a 9-hole par 3 course, frisbee golf, an aquatic center, and a splash pad to cool off in the summer. As I mentioned, there's lots of special events like the Taste of Grayslake, which has fireworks, which is always a week before the 4th of July, Halloween events, and then there's also Six Flags Great America, Great Wolf Lodge, and the Volo Auto Museum that are always busy and great for the weekends. The last thing you need to know about Grayslake is one thing. There are trains. First of all, let's talk about the positive. We have 2 Metro Line trains serving Grayslake. One is the Milwaukee District North Line, which has a station at Lake Street in South Grayslake, and the other is the North Central Service Line, which is at the Washington Street Station in North Grayslake, and that goes up to Antioch, down to Chicago, but also stops in the O'Hare area. Commuting by train is definitely doable, and I know lots of people who work downtown and take the train every day. But there are some trade-offs. Freight trains are something that we see every single day in Grayslake. Sometimes they're moving quickly, and sometimes they stop completely in the tracks and you want to lose your mind. So know that you have to be patient, and having trains that come through the center of town is part of living here. There's also an underpass on Washington, which helps with that so you can bypass the train, and there's talk of a second underpass at 120 and 83 in the coming years. But until that's fully built, be ready for possible delays. And then on peak traffic hours, like on 120 or 45, traffic can get heavy. So you'll be doing some driving, but plan ahead and then plan for trains because you're gonna see them. So there you have it. My top 5 things you should know before moving to Grayslake, Illinois. The downtown charm, the events, schools, recreation, the location and access, and the realities of seeing a few trains. If you're moving here, hopefully this gives you a realistic picture, not just the good stuff, but also what to watch for. Overall, Grayslake offers a great mix: community, access, and comfort. And if you're looking for a home in and around Grayslake, start with the Hering Homes team or visit realtorjamie.com. This is my backyard, and I'm one of the top realtors in Grayslake. I'd love to answer any questions that I maybe missed in this video. If you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more neighborhood guides. And if you have any questions about a specific area or like housing, community, or even a neighborhood, drop them in the comments. I love digging deeper. Thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you in Grayslake.